I remember when I was on bed rest because I hurt my foot a while back, and I needed 7 surgeries on my foot. I had 7 surgeries on my foot, and I was on bed rest for about, overall, including my time in the hospital, I was on bed rest for about 6 months. So when I got out of the hospital, I was on bed rest at my mom's house. I was staying with her and everything, and I would read the Word a lot. And and I came to Luke 17:6, and I started having all these fantasies about getting in contact with these famous artists who could paint paintings for me, because I have these great ideas of these great artistic ideas. Only I don't know how to draw or paint. I've tried learning how to draw, and it just it just I could probably draw a tree. I could probably pull that off. But so far as painting, that's another talent in itself. Um, anyway, where I'm going with is I came up with all these ideas, like to put in my new a ghetto fabulous house that I was gonna have, that I haven't had it, that I hadn't had yet, but I was going to have, because I was visualizing the house I was gonna have, and I was gonna have all these paintings in there of scripture coming to life. Um, I like abstract art, and Luke 17:6 is one of them. And Luke 17:6 is a one scripture parable about faith, the size of a mustard seed. And the other famous scripture just like it is found in Matthew, except Matthew and Mark and Matthew. It's funny how I'm not making reference to the one in Mark, because Mark is my favorite gospel. But I like the mulberry tree because I put so much thought into it one day about if I could have someone paint the depiction of Luke. I mean of this mulberry tree being uplifted by the roots and being thrown into the sea. But how would you paint something like that? How would you depict something like that in the paint? It had to be like a short film. And even at that, who's gonna watch it? It'd be like your own personal thing. But I mean, it was worth a shot. And I eventually came up with a painting of a mulberry tree in the sea. Um, this is what it says. This is the King James Version, so it says sycamine tree, tomato, tomato. The New King James Version says mulberry tree. And the Lord said, if you had faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye might say unto the sycamine tree, be thou plucked up by the root, and be thou planted in the sea, and it should obey you. Here, I had trouble reading it. And the Lord said, if ye had faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye might say unto the sycamine tree, be thou plucked up by the root, and be thou planted in the sea, and it should obey you. Yeah, I can visualize a lot. That's a lot to go on so far as meditation. I can visualize the it being uprooted, and there's possibly rocks in the soil around the sycamine tree or mulberry tree, whatever. There's probably rocks and because is this a tree that was planted, or did it grow naturally? And everything that you're speculating, all these questions, that's meditation right there. And there's possibly rocks. I'm talking about good sized rocks, stones that could have killed Goliath. And I'm imagining it being uprooted, and you can hear the sounds. You know how when you pull a tree out, or by the roots. I remember one time when I was little, I saw my dad, and I thought he was the strongest man because of it. Which my dad is strong. he he's like real. He's built like a bull. And but I saw him pushing this tree. Him and some other people, and my dad was pushing it with all his might, and he was uprooting the tree because they were taking the tree down. They didn't have money to pay people and stuff. They were just uprooting this tree. My dad was pushing it, and he uprooted the tree by pushing it. And I thought, man, how impressive that was. And I'll never forget the sounds I heard from the tree being uprooted. Yeah, so I'm visualizing all this stuff, how hard it is to even uproot a tree. Some people like the analogy of the mountain better, but the analogy of the mulberry tree is just as effective, because it's just as hard to uproot a mulberry tree. And shoot, even a little pebble, to visualize you commanding a little pebble to be uplifted and thrown into the sea, that would be a big deal. much less a mountain or a mulberry tree to be uprooted and thrown into the sea and planted in the sea. Sorry, if I want to get technical, the scripture says planted in the sea. Yeah, and I was visualizing this painting of this tree being planted in the sea. I remember I was visualizing it in an abstract way, to be painted with metallic paint. It was gonna be a cheesy painting if I were to pull this off. It was gonna be a cheesy painting. I have cheesy taste, and a lot of the things that I do, I have my taste is cheesy. So it was gonna be like done with metallic paint. It was gonna be abstract, and it was gonna be a mulberry tree planted in the sea. And I can visualize it. I can visualize it in my mind. You know, the tree being uprooted. It's already uprooted from the ground, and it's up in the air. I can maybe even smell the dust, the soil, and I can see rocks falling. You know, and then I could visualize the tree being planted into the sea. Bam! The first tree ever to be planted in the sea. So I just thought I'd bring that to light, because that's powerful meditation. Everything I described, I'm meditating on Luke 7:16, and this can only be possible according to this parable. This can only be possible if you have faith the size of a mustard seed. That's all you need. You don't need a lot of faith. If you have faith the size of a mustard seed. Yep. Alrighty.